Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Sailing and Cruising the East podcast. I'm Bela Musitz.
And I'm Mike Wasserman.
Hey, Mike, you know what? This is episode 41. We've been at this for a year now. I think it's been pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, happy anniversary, Bela. You know, don't worry about flowers or chocolates or anything. But yeah, sure. I mean, I've learned a lot and found out way more than I ever knew about sailing. And, as always, enjoy kind of shooting the breeze with you. And hopefully, we've gotten some interesting listeners along the way and kind of raised some interesting questions in their minds and got them thinking about sailing in some different ways. What do you think?
You know, it's been a really good way for me to sort of, I'll use the word document, my first year experience with the boat. And I was looking over the podcasts that we've done and the titles and listening to some of the older ones, and it brought back, kind of memories of, oh yeah, this is what I was doing on the boat. So it's in some ways, it's almost like having a journal about my experience with the boat, which has been really good. Yeah,
which is great. Now, Bela, I want to ask you a personal question, and very personal, okay? But I think we need to talk about your seat cushions today. What do you think?
Yeah, they're dirty. They're soiled.
They're soiled.
Soiled seat cushions.
And Bela, you're a man of a lot of different talents and a lot of different skills, but you're not a man that I feel that should be walking around with soiled seat cushions. So what are you going to do about it?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Well, remember a couple of episodes, we talked about fixing leaky windows. And we got all those fixed. Well, it turns out those windows were leaking and dripping onto the seat cushions. So in our boat, in the Salon, as it's called, which I would call the dining room of a house, there's a big dining room table there that seats it's probably 6 people very comfortably around it on three sides. And then across from that, there's a excuse me. Across from that, there's a long sort of bench seat on the other side of the boat. And all of these seats have these nice upholstered cushions on them, both the bottoms and back. So, they're very comfortable. And they're sort of a light color. I call it a light cream or a light tan in color. And when water tends to drip on them, by the time the leak enters the hull and it passes through the deck someplace and around the corner, it's probably not super clean water anymore. And it drips onto these cushions. And lots of times that happens when we're not on the boat, back when it leaked, and it stains the cushions. So some of the cushions, 2 of them in particular, on 2 sides, one on each side where the leaks were over these windows, had some pretty good stains on them. Not to the fact that they looked gross or anything. It wasn't like there was mold growing on them or anything. But they were just, unsightly. So Elaine and I were scratching our heads and, can these things be washed? And in addition, all of them, the boat's 12 years old now. And, dirt accumulates, particularly on these sort of things that are lighter colored. And they're made out of a fabric. So we decided, let's try to wash them. And so what we ended up doing on our last trip, we brought 4 of them home. So 2 bottoms and 2 backs to sort of do the experiment to see if we could wash them and how they would come out. And so we brought them home, and this past week we dove into them and washed them, and I will say they came out pretty good. But it was a project, Mike. I don't know if have you ever washed cushions on a couch or something like that? That basically a piece of foam that's wrapped in some type of cloth or anything like that.
I have not, but my stepbrother is a woodworker, and he does upholstery, and I've watched him kind of stuff cushions, and I've seen him work with foam and with cloth, and it's a real art form. It's not something that's easy to do that I think anybody can just do. I think it really is there's actually an art to getting this just right? To stuffing these things into the upholstery and making it so it sits the right way and getting it closed and all these things. So I do recall it being harder than it seems.
Yeah.
What was your experience?
I would agree with your assessment. The washing part was pretty easy. Although the ones that were really stained, we had to use some some spray-on stain remover, and I think we, let those soak in the stain remover, and we washed them like 2 or 3 times, and you can still see a little bit of the stain, but they're much better. The parts that weren't, one of them wasn't all that stained of the 4 we brought home, and that one we just washed once, and it came out great. But yeah, the trick was these cushions are really pretty firm, and the fabric is stretched really tight around them, and basically, there's a zipper on the back. There's 2 pieces of foam in each one and 2 compartments with a zipper for each one, and you undo the zipper and you pulling the foam out wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, and then putting the foam back in was really tricky. And they must have some kind of gizmos or mechanisms or something like that at the factory where they compress these things and they have a way of sliding them in, and then, voila, they fill the space. So it took probably 10 minutes for me to put in each piece of foam into its proper compartment and sort of slide it around as best you can, because it doesn't slide very well, to get it so the cushion looks good and it's not bent in one direction or the other and all the spaces are filled. But it worked out pretty good. The cushions look good. We're going to take them back to the boat this week when we go. We got 8 more to go. So I think that'll be the winter project, to get them all washed here over the winter. And so next year we'll have nice, clean seat cushions.
Start fresh. But, with all the little grandkids you got running around, we'll see how long they stay nice and pristine for. I have my doubts. But, it'll be easier to clean them the second time around.
If these were good for, 10, 12 years, then if this washing makes them good for 10, 12 years, because I don't think they've ever been washed or taken apart. So I'll be happy with it for sure.
It depends on how many grandchildren the previous owners had running around. I mean, come on. Have you seen the seats? I mean, maybe your grandkids are different than other grandkids, but have you ever looked in the back of a car where little kids sit? Even my cleanest friends, right?
Yeah. The reason I'm chuckling is we've had our older grandkids. The newest one, of course, is just 3 months old, so they're not doing much yet. She's not doing much yet, but the other 2 were 7 and 5, and yes, after they come to visit Grandma and Grandpa for the weekend, and we cart them around in the car here and there, and then when they leave, I got to go get the shop vac.
I'm just saying, don't get your hopes up here that these are going to be pristine for another 10 years, Bela. I think that's wishful thinking. I think you can have a neat and clean boat, or you can have a boat that your grandkids like to hang out in. And I'm not sure you can have both. But we'll see. We'll report. We'll have the same conversation at the end of next year.
As always, Mike, you're probably right. It got me thinking as you were saying that we've seen these cushions 2 different ways. So I don't know if it was depending on the model year or one was an option or whatever, but these are fabric cushions, and the ones that we have, and they're much nicer to sit on. I mean, they're comfortable when it's hot, etc. But they also have other ones that are, that naugahyde or that sort of fake leather type of coverings on them, which are certainly not as comfortable when it's hot out and you're, sweating and sticky and stuff. But they probably don't get as dirty and show stains. So I guess it's sort of each have their own advantages. But if these would have been the naugahyde ones, probably would not have to wash them. Could just probably wipe them down with a damp cloth and they'd be good.
File this one under life is full of trade-offs, Bela.
Yes,
right?
It is. Yes, it is.
But it's okay. You make the best of what you got, and don't freak out when the kids are smushing Cheetos into the seat cushions.
Yeah, exactly. Excellent point, Mike, as always.
Starburst, be careful what you get them. Those Starburst things, I hate those things, but right, mush one of those you reach in behind the cushion and you find one of those and you're like, ooh, what is this? I mean, you're in for, it's okay. They love Grandpa and Grandma and they love the boat and you'll be fine. But
yeah, that's real good advice from someone who has no children.
no kids. Exactly. And there's a reason why.
I'm starting to
stuff
see
like
why.
this. No, but it's trade-offs. It'll be fine. And maybe the kids will be so well behaved that nary a crumb will drop from their sticky little fingers. Yeah. You know, onto your pristine seat cushions. But at least once a year, it's nice to have unsoiled seat cushions, and you can start fresh in the spring and see what happens.
Yep.
Right? Oh, you could cover them in Ziploc bags. You could put the cushions each in a Ziploc bag when the kids come, and then when the kids are gone, you can take the Ziploc bags off.
There you go. Hey, that's maybe a new business opportunity, Mike, for our entrepreneurship podcast, right?
There you go.
Ziploc seat covers for your sailboat. Yeah,
absolutely.
Very good.
All right, so now we have a plan. All right, you're gonna have unsoiled seat cushions, and we're gonna keep tabs on how the grandkids do.
All right.
Next summer.
Keep me honest, Mike. Keep me honest.
I like it. All right, well, what do you think? Should we wrap it up? We've talked for 20 minutes about seat covers. I mean, who would have thought? Right? Only on this podcast. All right, well, we did. I'll wrap it up. I mean, we did talk about washing your seat cushions and keeping your seat cushions fresh. It's something every sailor needs to do, right, and pay attention to. But anytime you have water leaks or dirt or anything like that, which is hard not to do, I think, in a sailboat, you have to do that. So you figured out, which is neat, a way to wash them, and the tricky part, as you said, is getting the foam back into the cushion. But hopefully you learn some tricks, and it'll be easier the next time around. Listeners, I hope that you've given some careful introspection into your own seat covers, and you're motivated to keep your own seat cushions clean, because we want to be a community of people with clean cushions. I think that's just our one of our goals, and I think it's fun to think about things like this, because I would never have thought that I had to pay so much attention to seat cushions on a boat, but it's true. It's absolutely true. All right. Well, thanks for joining us for another somewhat risque but tongue-in-cheek interesting episode. We hope you found the conversation interesting and thought-provoking, if not mildly amusing. If you have questions about what we've discussed today, as always, we invite you, even encourage you to get in touch with us. Our email is sailingtheeast, all one word, @gmail.com.
Yeah, Mike, as you were going through that, it got me thinking about, since we're on the subject of dirt and soil, everyone on the boat, all of the females on the boat, including my 3.5-month-old granddaughter, have long hair. And it's amazing how much long hair accumulates inside the cabin of the boat after they're gone. Because when everyone leaves, Elaine and I sort of do a cleaning. And Elaine has long hair as well. And the amount of long hair that accumulates in all the little nooks and crannies in the boat and gets sucked up by this little portable vacuum cleaner we have is just eye-opening. You would think that everyone's growing bald, but they're clearly not. So anyway.
It grows back. Only the ones, you're in my age, right? When they fall out, they don't grow back so quickly. So, youth is a great
exactly
thing.
Right. Well, anyway, so if you enjoyed this podcast, please hit that follow button on your favorite podcasting app. And if you know someone that would be a good guest for the show, let us know. We're looking for those interesting individuals that are not famous, but that probably have a good story and can talk about some of their boating and sailing adventures. We'll be spending what's left of the summer on Narragansett Bay, so hope to see you out there on the water. If you see SV Paradox, give us a shout. So until next time, signing off. See you soon, Mike.
Thanks, Bela. And over here, your German word for the day is seat cushions in German is one of my favorite words, Sitzkissen. Sitzkissen. So may your Sitzkissen stay clean. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen.